would like to call to order the regularly scheduled Village Council meeting for the Village of Beverly Hills for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Abboud? Mr. Drummond?
Yes, here.
Mr. George?
Yes, here.
Ms. Rajusco?
Here.
Ms. Kescometti?
Also here.
Mr. Mercer?
Present.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, with that, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the agenda or a motion to approve the agenda?
President George, if I may, I would offer the change in the agenda of I to H, swapping those two items. I'm guessing there's not going to be a lot to comment on after we come out of closed session. And
Love
if
it.
folks would like to make their
Move on with their evening.
Yeah. Move on?
Rather than hang out in our lobby and watch the Franklin council meeting or whatever's on.
Yep, I'll support that.
Thanks. I would move to approve as amended.
Hang on, we need to vote to.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Amendment approved. Now, agenda with amendment.
I can do that, yeah. Move to approve as amended.
Support.
Support from the same corner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have an agenda. Thank you. Any community announcements this evening, online or in chamber? Going twice. We'll move on to public comments on items not on the published agenda. Anyone in chamber or online who would like to make a comment, now's your chance. Please step to the podium, give us your name and your street.
David Tababin, Orchard Way Court. We had some recent media coverage on the chicken issue. The main question seems to be why all this attention to Beverly Hills to chicken. So I thought a brief history might be in order for anyone here that doesn't know, or anyone online who hasn't heard this before. It started really back in 2017, but Village Attorney Ryan had set things in motion on a letter dated March 31 of 2021, where he documented the 14 times at that point the chickens had been on an issue of one of the boards or commissions here in the village. That covered a period from August of 2017 to January of 2021. And all of those really originated from that one single ZBA grant request for a variance. On March 16, the subject was on the council again for a pilot program, but no action was taken. On April 6, again 2021, there was another item on the council agenda to review and consider a potential ordinance. But after discussion, President George stated that he was not taking a vote on that item at that particular time. On May 18 of the same year, another council agenda, the item to discuss a potential ordinance, President George there stated, as recorded in the meeting minutes, after the discussion, there's nothing for the council to vote on right now, so he was not inclined to move the issue forward. And then in closing comments added, there are other issues council should be focusing on, such as sewers and sidewalks. So after that, the issue lay dormant until July of 2024, last year, when an ordinance violation was issued for keeping chickens. Since that time, the issue has been on the council agenda 8 more times, was the subject of 2 closed sessions meetings, 4 meetings of the Special Animal Council discussion, and countless hours on the part of the Planning Commission and Director Steck in terms of looking into the item and coming up with code language. So you can see that there's been a fair amount of time that's been dedicated to this over the last 8 years. And that's why there continues to be a discussion on chickens. It isn't something that the residents bringing up. It's something that people in this room keep bringing before the council. Ultimately went to court. The court did not mandate a correction or a creation of a code that would allow chickens. It only found that the wording of the existing code was unconstitutionally vague. And to remedy that, a rewriting of Articles 1 and 2 of the code is required, which is in progress right now. A new article, Article 3, which would allow chickens as a separate entity, was not required by the court. So while all of this conversation is happening, there's become a controversy in the village of who's for and who's against having chickens in the village. Resident Maxwell had put together a very credible recap of meetings and resident comments, both written and oral. demonstrating a substantial majority of residents who are aware of the issue that did not support backyard chickens in the village. On August 19th, in the council meeting, Congressmember Radusco said the number who want to keep chickens is small, but the number who support them is great. And I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I do know it brings up the question that I want to ask, and that is, what is the benefit to the village, not to those few that want chickens, but to the whole village of allowing backyard chickens? So the only way to resolve this, as I've said before, and many other peoples before me have said, is to put it on the ballot. During the League of Women Voters Forum before the 2024 election, when asked if they were willing to resolve the issue by putting the issue on the ballot, Councilmember O'Gorman said, personally, I don't care. I do not want them in my yard. A ballot issue, more power to anyone who wants to make that issue. Councilmember Cascometti, no. I am not opposed to a ballot issue. If the community feels it requires a popular vote, I'm not against that. And Councilman Drummond, if putting it on the ballot will bring closure, I'm in favor of it. Now, Mr. Mercer and Mr. Abood have already gone on record saying that they were willing to put the issue on the ballot. So tonight I'm asking the other council members, if a motion was on the floor at this meeting tonight that said, the Village of Beverly Hills is proposing a ballot issue that says on backyard chickens, would you vote yes to put that issue on the ballot, or would you vote no not to put it on the ballot? And Mr. George, if two more council members would say they were agreeable to putting it on the ballot, would you in fact allow that motion to come onto the floor? I can't require an answer of you, but I would like to know, and I'm sure that there are others out there in the audience that would also like to go.
Thank you. Any other public comments, online or in chamber? Yes, ma'am. Just need your name and your street.
All right, I'm Jennifer Roma. I live on Beverly Road, and I thought it was finally time to show up and say that I would want chickens, that I've been here for too many years. Remember when we were allowed to. I wish people could stand up, put their hands up and say, who has lived here over 15 years? We were allowed to have chickens before, and how many were allowed to back then? And as you had spoke, they said you spoke that it was just the people at the council who were wanting the chickens. Some people voted for some people who would try to support and have chickens. So when you supported, I don't think it's just the council. I think there's a lot of people, and you can imagine most people come for the negative, you know. So unfortunately, don't have pages to try to tell you support and things like that, but my guess, how many people are actually going to have chickens and things? And I think that, thinking of my other thoughts. Sorry, one went away, one thought. Everybody had their turn. So, yeah, I would believe that nowadays, people are trying to take care of their places and trying to have a garden to teach their children where they come from. Same thing for the chickens, you know. My kids, I don't think I can have in my house. I've got kids, but my kids actually have asked because they've got other friends in Troy and they're adorable and you actually get eggs out of it. So it's a great learning event for some kids. So, you know, so I think it should go to a vote. I don't even know. I saw this, that. I don't even know how it's going to happen, but it would be very nice. So, and that's all.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Online, in chamber. Going twice. All right, we'll close public comments on items not on the published agenda and move on to the consent agenda. A robust consent agenda this evening, 10 items. Number one, approved minutes of a regular council meeting held August 19th, 2025. Number two, approved minutes of a special council meeting held August 25th, 2025. Number three, approved minutes of a closed session council meeting held August 25th, 2025. Number four, review and file bills recapped as of Monday, August 27th, 2025. Number 5, approve request from Time Michigan Teal. Number 6, approve request from Next to waive pavilion fees. Number 7, approve request from Village Women's Club to waive pavilion fees. Number 8, approve annual funding request and contract from Birmingham Bloomfield Community Coalition. Number 9, approve request to collect electronic donations through ClickBid. And number 10, approve buckthorn eradication proposal.
Mr. George, at this time, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Beverly Hills approves the consent agenda as read.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Kescometti. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Ms. Kescometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. On to the business agenda. Number 1 on the business agenda, Wenbrook Park recognition. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, good evening, Council. Tonight, Attorney Ryan has drafted a resolution that does a few different things, which I'll speak to in a moment. Excuse me. At the last Village Council meeting, the Wenbrook property was rezoned from RA residential to public property. I won't say the acronym. Village Attorney Ryan, again, like I say, he's prepared this resolution. The resolution does the following things. It officially recognizes the Wenbrook property as Wenbrook Park. It would allow for the park to receive funding through the Beverly Hills Park Millage. It clarifies or establishes that all village rules and regulations applicable to parks and the conduct within them apply to Wenbrook Park. And then lastly, this is a little bit of a miswording on my, or misrepresentation on my end. It does call for the Parks and Recreation Plan and Master Plan to be amended to recognize the existence of this park. Again, the exact amendments of the plan we're not approving tonight. Those would go to the Parks Commission, and I guess the Master Plan would go to Planning Commission, but this kind of serves as that directive to those boards to do those things. So just wanted to clarify that. Otherwise, happy to take any questions on the matter, and I'm sure Mr. Ryan would as well.
Questions on the matter from anyone? So to recap the steps as to how we got here, we're in a spot not dissimilar to what we were with Beverly Green, which was platted as park space, but it was never officially recognized as a park by Beverly Hills. We passed a very similar resolution in order to bring it into the park system, goes into the master plan, goes into the 5-year parks plan, so that when we're talking to the Department of Natural Resources about funding opportunities, this is there, and we can reference it. They can see that it is included in our parks plan. So more work to do after this. We've had lots of conversation about this. I'm excited to get to this point, but we've changed the zoning from residential to public land. This is now changing that public land into a Beverly Hills Park. So, any questions from council for the professionals on the south end there? If not, Ms. Rajewsko, do you have the resolution on that one?
I do. First, I just would like to make a quick comment. This is something that I don't think any of us ever thought we would get to see happen when we first became elected to council, right? Adding a park is a huge, huge thing. And the White's generosity and patience with the process is what's gotten us here today. So I just, again, want to recognize their foresight and their huge gift to this village for years and years to come. So with that, whereas in December 21st, I'm going to mess it up on the first sentence. Whereas in December 2021, village residents, Mr. Michael White and Mrs. Martha White, purchased 3 lots consisting of over 8 acres along the Rouge River on Wenbrook Lane to preserve undeveloped land in the neighborhood. And whereas on February 1st, 2022, the Village of Beverly Hills Council approved an agreement with 6 Rivers Land Conservancy to apply for an acquisition grant from the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, MNRTF, to purchase the Wenbrook properties. This grant to provide up to 75% of acquisition cost for the park nature preserve with the village providing a matching amount of 25% of the acquisition cost. And whereas on March 15th, 2022, the Village of Beverly Hills held a public hearing to receive public comments about this grant application. The Village Council unanimously approved moving forward with the grant application, and Six Rivers submitted the application on behalf of the Village of Beverly Hills. And whereas on December 14th, 2022, MNRTF held their annual meeting to distribute available grant money, and the MNRTF awarded the village with $1 million grant to acquire the Wenbrook property in question. And whereas Mr. and Mrs. White agreed to fund the shortfall of $1 million to purchase the property for the valuation of $2 million to constitute the village's match of the funding. And whereas on October 18th, 2023, the Village of Beverly Hills Council adopted a resolution of authorization for acquisition agreement with the Michigan Department of Financial Resources to complete the purchase of Wenbrook property as outlined in the acquisition grant. And whereas after concluding the appropriate appraisal process and environmental evaluation, the village did close on Wenbrook property on March 2025. The Village Council completed the purchase of Wenbrook property. And whereas the Village Planning Commission recommended adoption of zoning ordinance amendment changing the zoning on the property from RA residential to PP, public property, which the Village Council approved amending the zoning ordinance at its August 19th, 2025 Village Council meeting. And whereas the Village Council for the Village of Beverly Hills desires to officially recognize Park Number 6, currently known as the Wenbrook property, as a fully operational village park. And now, therefore, be it resolved that effective September 2nd, 2025, Park Number 6, currently known as the Wenbrook property, shall hereafter be known as Wenbrook Park, and is hereby recognized as the latest addition to the Village of Beverly Hills Park System, which allows for funding of improvements through the dedicated Beverly Hills Park millage, and subject to all rules and regulations of the Village of Beverly Hills Park ordinances as contained in the Village Code. Be it further resolved that the Parks and Recreation Plan and the Village Master Plan be amended to recognize the existence of this village park.
Support.
Mr. George, if I may, before we take a vote on that, could I just offer a brief amendment?
Yes.
Paragraph 6, could we please change the Department of Financial Resources to Department of Natural Resources?
I wondered about that.
I don't think it's,
Yes.
thank you.
Support with the amendment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so amended. So then on to the amended resolution. Mr. O'Gorman, you still in support?
Yes, support the amended resolution.
All right. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rojusco?
Yes.
Ms. Keskimetti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Outstanding. That's been a long time coming. Very happy that we got that done. What are we, 3.5 years into this, and I think we got notice, December of 20, it was December of 22, so this is how long it takes even after you get approval and get awarded the $1 million. So originally, when we learned, and I know the Whites are watching from home, so glad we're here, glad it's officially a Beverly Hills Park. When we had the initial conversation, the question of how do you come up with the $500,000, because it was $2 million in valuation, we asked for $1.5 million. The Department of Natural Resources will fund up to 75%. the question of how you come up with the other $500,000 was unanswered when I had that first conversation with the Whites, and they generously offered to donate that as a match. When we went to the meeting and we saw our score and we were below what I assumed the cut line would be, I sat there thinking, we're not getting money, we're not going to get there. And there's a guy who, he was the chair of the trust fund for several years, property developer in Grand Rapids, and that was his last meeting. And he said, let's go back to that Rouge River project. And we had the head of the Department of Natural Resources who had just agreed, put on the table the acquisition of I forget, 20,000 acres in the UP for about $1,000 an acre, saying, this is expensive per acre. And we had somebody who was competing against us for funding stand up on our behalf and say to you, that's hard to find. You can't, that the cost, you don't know what real estate goes for around there. So that was a testament to the quality of this project and the fact that we had multiple people, helping to get it done, and no one more than the Whites, who made an investment that will pay dividends for a long time. I'm excited for what that can be. The Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund does acquisition grants like we did to get this property. They do development grants, which is for developing properties. So they have a strong history of, once they help a community get a piece of land, of helping them to sport it up. So now comes the planning part where we figure out what we want to do with it, and then we get an application in for a development grant so that we can start the work. So plenty of work to do. Great community conversation about what we want that to be. It has to, good news from doing the trust fund acquisition, it has to stay public land forever in perpetuity. So we've added a big chunk of real estate to our park system that spreads it further west, gives us more river frontage. I'd love to think, I know I don't know that he's on, but we have a member of Parks who had a great vision of connecting Douglas Evans and that along a river walk along the river, which might take 2 generations, but it all starts with an idea, and this gives us the option of having those fun ideas. So truly appreciate everyone's hard work to get here, because it was a long time in the making, and greatly appreciated. So any other? Yes, Mr. Boone.
Yes, my apologies for having that excused tardiness. When I was reading through that, I just wanted to have some clarity on the millage. The millage does include that because it's a new park. Correct.
The millage, I mean, it's available to all parks. My hope is that I believe there is I'm encouraged, if anyone's been around Birmingham lately, they've seen some sandwich boards around that have a nice little QR code explaining what they're trying to do at the park next to, is it Shane Park? The one right by Salvatore Scalapini's? Booth Park? Booth Park. That's where I hope we're headed, is we've done the work at Beverly Park to come up with a great to-do list. Now we need to explain it to the community. I believe that we have a community that wants to support good things. I believe the University of Michigan has enough money, so if I can convince some people that their legacy gift to a park in Beverly Hills is a great place to put that instead of into the football stadium, that's my hope. So I think, I'd like to get that kind of outreach on Beverly Park, do the same thing on Wenbrook. I've already had conversations with people who would like to donate some seed money to get this started. What that looks like yet, I don't know, but if we can, we don't even know what we don't know yet.
No,
it makes it eligible. My hope is, since that millage came about before this park existed.
And that's why I bring it up,
yeah.
because the money could have been allocated for more money for the millage parks, knowing that Wenbrook would have been on, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
And instead of the whatever percentage, it would have been a higher percentage, that's all.
Yeah, and I think there's, like I said, great community conversation to be had. There's a couple people in the community who I think are uniquely suited to be able to lead that discussion because of their vocations and their expertise in that area. So I'm hoping that I've had that initial conversation, but we need to go back and try that again. because we need a plan. We don't have anything to spend money on yet because we don't know what we want to do. But right now, it's being mowed. We need to post hours. So that'll come back, I assume, from Parks with recommendations that the hours, hours in the trash can, and we're and mowing, and we're good to go. But we got some work to do on coming up with a plan.
You said 2 generations, so.
Oh, yeah. No, as I've said multiple times, it took Beverly Park 100 years to get to where it is now. So this is not a sprint to see how much we can do. We now have the rest of eternity in Beverly Hills that is going to be a park.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you to the Whites, thank you to administration, to council, to all the members of the community who gave feedback. That was a long time coming. All right, on to number 2, fiscal year 26-27 road project engineering proposal. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, Mr. Shepler's here from HRC in case there are questions or more thorough overview than what I'm about to give is desired. I know the pavement is just kind of finishing up on our current fiscal year road projects, but it's never too early to start planning for next fiscal year's road projects. By planning now and starting the design work, we can have bids ready to go in early winter, and so we can be some of the first projects out there in the bidding environment and achieve competitive pricing. So before you this evening is an engineering proposal from Hubble, Roth & Clark for both design and construction engineering services for what we're calling the fiscal year of 26-27 road improvement project. It includes a portion of Pierce as well as Burwood and Kirkshire. It is a budgeted item in this current fiscal year's budget to do this design engineering work specifically. Without further ado, I guess I'll turn it over to Brad, who might want to add.
Thank you, Warren. As you know, there's been a lot of construction going on along Pierce between Beverly and 14 Mile, and along Kirkshire and Burwood, all in that area. It's all coming to a close for this summer right now, so this next summer's project will kind of clean it all up, pave the road so we can get out of there kind of once and for good for the next 20, 30 years or so. So that's kind of wrapping up probably the last 2 to 3 years of construction that we've had to just finish up this little stretch of that area. If anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them, but everything is laid out for you and how we propose to plan, design, and construct the project.
How were these sections of road chosen?
They were chosen because we're kind of finishing off. It was master planned a while ago to do Kirkshire and Burwood pretty much from Greenfield all the way to almost Southfield somewhere. When we started doing the Pierce Water Main project this summer, we realized that, with Our Lady Queen of Mars right there, we really need to do the work, while school's out. It'd be too much to try and get school traffic with it in. And we realized we couldn't get the water main project and a full road replacement in one summer. So we wanted to parcel it out. There's also some of the water main work kind of branches out into Burwood and into Kirkshire a little bit from Pierce, along with the Safe Routes to School project. We thought that doing Kirkshire and Burwood all the way to Pierce might cause some conflicts, contractors kind of tripping over each other. So we figured if we could get Pierce and those little fingers out of Pierce, from Pierce to Edgewood and Pierce to Bates, that could all kind of flow together as well. So then contractors would be out of each other's hairs essentially by doing this work the following summer. So that's how it was chosen. It's kind of broken up. Plus we had major road funds to spend, so it was always planned to do Pierce from 13 to 14. Again, we broke it up for budgetary purposes to just do 13 to Beverly and then do Beverly to 14 because of budget and because of the Pierce Water Main project that we got a grant for. So kind of just evolved in the last couple of years this way.
All right. Questions from council?
Oh, I had a question.
Yes.
Just, as you drive through, and understanding that if your driveway was asphalt, they'd be replacing with components. I noticed some residents did like a whole driveway. Did they kind of tap into that, getting any economies of scale, or is this coincidental all at the same time?
So we try not to do private work with public work just because you need permits for private work, and there's liability concerns from contractor, and so we dissuade them from doing the work.
They could have been new, and I just,
They could have been.
Yep. So
But if a resident wants to do it and they want to pull a permit for that work and then contract separately with that contractor, I can tell you a lot of the larger contractors don't like to do the smaller public work, but sometimes they have subs that would do it. So it's not off the table, it's just not encouraged.
And based on your email from Safe Routes to School email, you got the green card telling them exactly when and so on and so forth to be able to go on,
So that's part of the plan, is to kind of review all the project communications that we kind of did this summer and say, is this the way you want to continue to move forward with construction? Are there any lessons learned from this summer that we can move towards next summer and things like that? So yes, I think baseline do exactly what we kind of did this summer, but if the council wants to do more and administration wants to do a little bit more, we'll do a little bit more.
And with school starting, it's almost done then, right?
It's pretty much done. I think they restored most of Pierce today and last week, and I think the Pierce Road water main has a little bit of restoration left to do as well, but pretty much done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Pierce is getting a full sport up, new sidewalks,
New road, new water.
main.
Yes.
Great, all right. Additional questions, comments? If not, Mr. O'Gorman, do you have the resolution on that one?
Yes, Mr. George. The Village of Beverly Hills Council approves the proposal from Hubble, Roth & Clark Incorporated for design and construction engineering services of the fiscal year 2026-2027 road improvement project in the amount not to exceed $195,000. Funds are available in major and local roads.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Rajewsko. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Jusko?
Yes.
Ms. Cascametti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. You gonna
I'll
stand right there?
hang out here for a little bit if you don't mind.
All right, number 3 on the business agenda, MDOT TAP agreement. Mr. Ridley.
You?
I'll kick it off real quick. Similar to the Safe Routes to School grant project, the use of the funds, the awarding of the funds involves the Michigan Department of Transportation, who has a managerial role to play. In order to engage them, we have to sign a contract with them. So back in March, right before I got here, the council approved a very similarly written agreement between the Michigan Department of Transportation and the Village of Beverly Hills for the Safe Routes to School work that allowed the bids to go out, the bid to be awarded. This is kind of that final step. So much like with Safe Routes, same exact things needed here for the Transportation Alternatives Program project. Again, it's a standard MDOT contract. It basically lays out what they're responsible for, what we are responsible for, and that's essentially it. So happy to take questions, and I know we have Neil and Brad here to talk more about the specifics if there are questions.
Okay, for anyone following along in the audience or at home, the Michigan Department of Transportation Transportation Alternatives Program is the grant source for a good chunk of the money for the project for sidewalks along 13 Mile from Groves to,
West Village limits?
yes,
Woodside?
to Woodside Athletic Club sidewalk, and along 13 Mile from the South Village limit to 14 Mile. So we had 2 different grant sources. What we've seen going in to date is the Safe Routes to School grant, which was a separate source of funding. We got $1.32 million for sidewalk construction there. This was $1.64 million, I believe, for the MDOT share of that project. So we've learned a lot along the way. There are a lot of requirements when taking DOT money. We have jumped through a lot of hoops. We've done archaeological digs. We have taken videos of trees to make sure that everyone is comfortable with the notion they are not landmark trees, that they're just overgrown buckthorn. So I think we've finally got MDOT approval. Are we out to bid?
We are currently out to bid.
We're out to
Went
bid.
out to bid today, I think.
So
actually.
beginning of October, bids open, and hopefully we can convince them to get some work done this fall. Majority of it's going to happen next year, and this is the contract between us, between the municipality and the Department of Transportation for the work and them to fund it.
Correct.
Okay. Questions from council? None? We've talked about this once before, I understand. Okay. Any community questions, input, comments? This is last step in the process to memorialize before we do the work. You need to step to the podium. You need to step to the podium, and so
For
you
the
can be
people
on.
at home.
Yeah. Need a name and a street.
Mary Sue Lanigan, Sunset Court. Just for clarification from my understanding, are we talking about sidewalks from 13 Mile to 14 Mile on Evergreen?
Yes,
That's
on the
what we're
west
talking
side.
about. Okay,
Yes.
so you're looking at next spring, the sidewalks will go in?
We will know October 4th, or we will know shortly after. We open the bids in October, the beginning of October. I assume it will come to council at the October whatever meeting after that to hire somebody, and at that point, we'd ask them how much they can get done in the fall, hopefully some retaining walls and things like that. You know, if they have time to do the easy part where it's flat south of 14 Mile, we might see that. I think the hard part along 13 Mile where they're going to have to build some bridge work is going to take a little longer. That'll probably be a next spring, summer activity.
Spring 2027?
6.
6, okay, thank you.
I mean,
I know, please don't say.
I'm optimistic. This started in January of 21, so it took longer than I assumed, but here we are. We're close. So yes, thank you for the clarification. This will be on the west side from the South Village limit, which is Embassy Street.
Correct.
To 14 Miles, so we'll connect people to Douglas Evans, students from Groves to Seaholm to Berkshire. You know, the Georgetowns that can't get east will be able to get east. So a lot of good connections. So it'll go from Woodside, where the sidewalk terminates, to Groves, and then all the way up the west side of Evergreen. Yes. Questions from council?
No questions, but just a quick comment.
Sure.
I live along this route, and I've been working in my front yard a lot, and the number of people that have stopped me and are not so patiently counting down the days until this is available, I really think that it's going to be a real game changer for people on that side of the village. They're very excited about it. One thing to think about when this work is done, though, is there's still some cut-throughs that are on village easements that maybe that's our next step to look at, because they kind of connect neighborhoods, like to neighborhoods. But yeah, I don't think I can spend a day in my front yard without having 3 or 4 people ask when is it happening? So this is exciting. Thank you for all the work that you guys have done on this.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories to tell is that Rachel grew up in Beverly Hills and couldn't ride her bike to Berkshire, and now her children can't ride their bike to Berkshire.
Maybe next.
Got an 8th grader who will miss it by days, but thereafter we will have, I think, all of the community that can get to Berkshire on a sidewalk. So
My neighbor's a 6th grader, and she's like another child, so
Yeah.
I'll just live vicariously through her.
there you go. Yeah, the tree work you saw was done in advance because there's only a certain season you can cut trees. We were hoping to have this done sooner. However, there was additional archaeological work that needed to be done to pass the State Historic Preservation Office review.
Getting good at this, John.
So we've passed muster with SHPO. We've averted crisis with the bats, and we're out to bid. So.
Now we gotta watch the rattlesnakes.
Okay.
We do the work.
All right. Any other questions? If not, I think, Mr. O'Gorman, do you have this one?
I can do this one for sure. Just one
On page 38.
Yep. Be it resolved, the Beverly Hills Village Council authorizes Warren Roth, Village Manager, and Neil Johnson, Public Service Director, to enter into contract number 5255423 between the Michigan Department of Transportation and the Village of Beverly Hills.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Cascometti. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. All right, looking forward to opening bids.
Yes.
Number 4 on the business agenda, Hubble-Roth and Clark Construction Engineering Proposal for TAP Project. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, this is a kind of companion item to what we previously just approved with the Michigan Department of Transportation. To administer this program and project, rather, we require the services of an engineer who can do everything from construction observation, construction layout staking, engineering, contract administration, manage resident communications, perform required materials testing, MDOT document control and grant administration tasks for the installation of over 3 miles of sidewalks, including Americans with Disabilities Act ramps, 230 feet of boardwalk, 850 feet of a retaining wall, or walls, plural, and 1 pedestrian bridge. In order to do all this, we require the services of Hubble-Roth and Clark. They've provided the proposal for these services. This is a known cost that has been a part of the multi-year TAP grant budget. The proposal is a cost that is on an hourly basis with a not-to-exceed cap of $572,000. This is a budgeted item in this fiscal year. And again, just if you read their memo, and Brad will say, because of the timing on this, it's likely we're going to still be closing this project out in 2027 after the restoration. We see how well that took for a season or 2. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brad, who can give a better overview or answer questions you may have.
Yes, thank you, Warren. We've been tracking our costs for the safe routes, because safe routes is a very similar type of sidewalk project, and the amount of effort it takes with the number of crews that certain contractors bring out is immense. Most of the costs in this is construction observation, materials testing. Every concrete truck that comes out, we test a good portion of the concrete, laying out 3 miles of sidewalk. It takes a lot of time and effort. We have retaining walls, we have boardwalks, we have bridges. That's going to make up most of the cost in this. If you look at the hours, we project 1 full-time observation staff during the winter type months when they're probably going to be doing more of the retaining wall work, the boardwalk work, the bridge work, stuff like that. And then we transition into potentially 1 to 2 observers from like May to October when they're actually doing sidewalk work, because we found out that they like to take a crew and work ahead and then pour concrete and then kind of just like almost like an assembly line. So we need 2 staff members out there pretty much all the time. There's sometimes this summer, because they started late, we had 3 to 4 observers out, because there was 4 different crews that they had out in the neighborhood to kind of knock that out the way they did. So we learned a lot from the safe routes, so we think our numbers are pretty good on this. But it's going to, most of this time is going to be spent out with people in the field doing the work, not so much of the office work, kind of looking at stuff. But we do a lot of communication, I can tell you that. A lot of emails, a lot of sending out notices, flyers, and things like that. So any comments, we'll discuss project communications at some point, but think about it. If you've heard anything, we welcome the feedback. Any way we can communicate to the public better what's going on.
Questions? It is a ton of money for the construction observation. We've had this conversation multiple times. I've talked about why we wouldn't just hire someone. The answer is because we don't staff an engineering department, and then we have people. This is a bubble in our, we're chewing on a lot of construction projects currently, but this isn't the normal cadence, and when this is done, then you have somebody on staff. So this is how we've run the model for years, is outsourcing this to someone who has a fleet of engineers. Construction observation, we had plenty of retail conversations with residents while the safe routes to school sidewalks were being put in, and the good news is that I think the process works, even if it's there's another step or 2 in the process. At times, we do the best. This has been laid out for the paths have been laid out for quite a while, but when you start chewing into the ground, we had a couple modifications based on conversations with people in their driveways and in their front yards. So It's, and we got some good we got feedback on both sides of the issue. It is always tough when you've got someone in your front yard putting something there that previously wasn't. But overall, good reviews from, the HRC field staff. And this is a tremendous amount of work to get these next two roads done. So I'm excited for it to move forward. Questions? Mr. Mercer.
There's a small typo on page 3. I know that the pre-construction meeting is not going to take 900 years, so if you correct that, just for the record, so when it's put in,
Oh, gotcha.
it's just a typo, it's no big deal, but
Sorry.
I
Yep.
just happen to see that.
Might feel like 900
Thank you.
years.
Apologies.
No.
What, when you talk about construction start date of basically Thanksgiving, I haven't looked at the calendar, but like optimistically, what do you, like, build my hopes up a little bit? What do we think they might get done this fall?
It's going to take, once the contractor gets is the low bidder and is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, it takes usually, 30 days or so to get all the contract documents in order, the insurances, get through MDOT's process. Then once they get the okay, everything's all right. Now it's going to take them, weeks to build their schedule, to look at their subs, get their subs signed, because they need subcontractors signed to do some of the work. So they got to work through their contracts. So that's probably another 30 days. I mean, when it says start working, we'll have the pre-construction meeting. We'd like a schedule, at least a preliminary schedule at that meeting, how they're going to go. Once we kind of okay that, it's going to probably after January 1st before you see anything really like excavators and things like that out there. And I imagine, again, they got to build some foundations for the bridges, boardwalks, they got to put some helical piers in, things like that. That's good work to do in the winter. Ground's all hard, water's not really flowing, it's not mushy and stuff like that. That's a good time to get down into some of those wetter areas, which is where we're building our bridges and boardwalks, and kind of get those things in. So that's what I imagine January and February is going to look like. Okay. And then probably not pouring concrete till mid-ish, late-ish April.
That's fine. All right. I didn't know if they could do any of that in Q1 or not.
We'll push them.
Theoretically.
I mean, we want to give them, they want to get done too. So they don't want to hang out there either for too long.
All right.
So the sooner they can get it done, hopefully the lower costs come in too.
Yeah. Super. Any other questions, comments? If not.
I've got it.
You do? Okay.
Got it.
Sorry, you had the last one. I guess.
That's okay. That's okay. I've got it up.
Game tonight.
I've got it up, and I'm not currently coughing. So if you
There
can
you
let me
go.
read something while I'm not currently coughing, that'd be great. All right. Please be it resolved, the Beverly Hills Village Council approves the proposal from Hubble, Roth, and Clark to provide the Village of Beverly Hills with construction engineering services for the TAP Grant Sidewalk Connector Program in the amount not to exceed $572,000. Funds are available in account 401-900-974.05.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Rajewsko. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Ms. Keskamani?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
All right, on to next. Number 5 on the business agenda, second reading of the fence ordinance. Mr. Rothi.
Yes, back again for consideration is another potential second reading of the fence ordinance, ordinance number 391. At the last council meeting, this was considered. It was decided, there was some dialogue on vinyl PVC and the color white and how those fit in the fence ordinance. A motion was made to send it back to planning for review and comment. The good timing wise, the planning commission meeting was last week. They were able to review and provide comment. Director Steck is here to do a much more thorough job explaining and recapping what the conversation was, what the ordinance before you contains. And otherwise, I'll turn it over to her at this time.
All right, good evening, council. As you know, we've been talking about this. We did, and I brought this to Planning Commission last week, and they agreed that, yes, they didn't really think all the way through on the solid white PVC fencing. But that's really where their heads were collectively at. They don't they don't want to see solid white PVC fencing. That is the thing, right? And so they did dive a little bit deeper into that whole conversation on, are we against the color white? No, they agree. White picket fence, nice, clean aesthetic. And they find that appealing, right? So really, it is a prohibition on vinyl PVC, specifically because of its durability as compared to the other materials that are listed within the ordinance, which, as a reminder, is brick, natural stone, treated wood, composite, or metal, such as raw iron or painted aluminum and chain link. So they did specifically state that vinyl PVC, while it looks good for a little while, like one well-placed rock, one poor swipe with that weed whacker, and your fence is now damaged and quite costly to replace. So it is not the durable material that they really feel is important for the village to have. And I would like to mention that as we've been talking about this over the last several months, at least with me, it is color and durable materials that has been the two consistent issues or concerns for both bodies collectively, right? So that is why they do not feel that vinyl PVC should be allowed as an appropriate fence material for anything above 3 feet, and definitely not solid. As I mentioned, they do believe that a white picket fence does provide that nice, clean aesthetic, and they're not opposed to that, right? They like that look. They would like to see that look continue throughout the community. And so it is not a prohibition on white fencing, just solid white PVC. So that said, one minor adjustment, which has already been incorporated into this current draft of the ordinance, and that is that the clarification that vinyl/PVC may only be used for fences which are up to 3 feet in height and have an opacity of 35%. Probably asked them more times than they really wanted to know, or really wanted me to. 3 feet, not 4, right? I did look at those fences on Birmingham. There's several of them, actually. Only one with very pretty hydrangeas,
Yes.
which garden goals, okay. But those all appear to be white vinyl, right? They all appear to be in pretty good condition at the moment. Maybe they're lucky with their lawnmower or weed whapper, but I did bring that up to Planning Commission. I did point out that those are 4-foot fences, not 3 feet. And their response was 3 feet, 35% opacity. If someone would like to have a 4-foot fence, then they can choose another material that is allowed. So it's at your pleasure if you would like to accept what they have, their modification, right? You can adjust it. I know that there was a concern at the last meeting about making changes. I understand it. I understand the concerns, but that is your prerogative as the final authorizing body to make any changes that you may see fit. But I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Ms. Rujusco.
Since we've all talked that our durability issue and color was our big sticking point, is there a difference in durability between a 3-foot vinyl picket fence and a 4-foot vinyl picket fence that they were concerned about?
Not that they raised at the meeting, no.
So, I guess, so was their goal just to only allow white picket fences in front yards and not in backyards? Is that, I guess I'm flummoxed a little by the sticking with 3 feet because, I mean, we have a 4-foot fence out back, so.
Right. Front yard fences is where they were, you know, I mean, we discussed, you know, all the ones on Birmingham, those are 4 foot. I mean, they are thinking 3-foot fences. I'm sure they're thinking that adorable white picket fence in the front yard as they were talking about it. Sorry, I guess I should be standing.
So essentially, like, just for an aesthetics, not, because, I mean, the front yard fence can't go around the house, it can't go back more than, what, 8 feet?
Yep.
So it's essentially just a very expensive visibility screen at that point, but it wouldn't actually be functional.
Correct.
Ms. Gasko.
Ms. Steck, could you please remind me, in that example on Birmingham, when you're walking north-south, those homes, that is the side of their rear yard.
Yes.
So do we consider that a rear yard fence? I know there's
That
all
is
this
a rear-
terminology in
yes,
here.
it
It's
is
a rear yard fence. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You know, I appreciate that you took a look at this. I think, you know, when I picture that stretch of road, you know, the houses adjoining that have a chain link fence, if they would like to replace that with something that matches the neighbor, they would now be limited to a 3-foot fence on what is technically their rear yard, which likely doesn't contain a dog very well, right?
Only if they want vinyl PVC.
Only if they want vinyl PVC
Right,
to
if
match
they-
what's there, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
If they wanted to mimic those fences, they would absolutely be allowed to install a 4-foot white wood fence, right? They could paint it wood, or paint the wood white, they could do painted wood, they could do white composite.
Okay.
You know, I mean, there's options available to them, it just couldn't be PVC vinyl.
Understood. I will just share, when I bought our home on Kirkshire, it had a white wooden picket fence. It was not any, I would never use the word durable to describe that piece of property there. Mr. George, allowing whatever discussion is appropriate, I would like to offer an amendment that we change the 3 feet in height restriction here to 4 feet to allow for what's existing in the community and to allow that to be replicated in neighboring homes.
Specific to rear yard applications?
Yes, because I think front yard applications are already separately limited to 3 feet in height.
Okay.
Is that right?
I just wanted
That
to
is
make sure that we were not changing front height.
Can I just confirm that, Ms. Steck, if we were to change that section 173 sub 1B, and we were just to change 3 feet to 4 feet, does that have any applicability to the front yard, rear yard issue? Do we need to be more specific?
No, fences in the front yard are only permitted to be 3 feet, so
Okay.
that would not impact that.
Okay. Do we need any more discussion on that? Or did anyone want any more discussion on that, or can I offer
Any questions or comments on Mrs. Cascometti's proposed amendment?
I just had one question for clarification, Mrs. Steck. It's in the, so it'd be section 2, part A, subsection 3. That'd be 46-4.
2A.
Where it says rear yard,
Yeah, so the rear yard, yep, thank you.
Okay, yep.
It says a fence in the rear yard shall not exceed 6 foot height above grade and shall not extend toward the front of the lot farther than the rear of the house, except for the fence may extend into the side yard only to enclose the side door entrance, see graphic below.
Correct, yep.
And I don't know if any clarity is needed here, because I think the intent of that is for a full privacy fence with like 100% obscured, right?
Correct,
No free area.
correct.
It doesn't specifically call that out that way, and I know the current ordinance allows it as long as it's not a privacy fence. So I don't know if we need that clarification there or not, what's the intent? See, the intent's for privacy, right?
The intent is to allow 6-foot privacy. The current ordinance specifies the 35% opacity, and the planning commission has felt that just removing that opacity standard.
That implies whatever type of fence you want.
Yep.
If you want a 35% opacity, or if you want a 0% opacity.
Or if you want
You can
something
do both. Okay.
somewhere in
That's-
between, right?
That makes sense to me.
You can go left to right or up or down, so that doesn't matter.
Yes, yeah.
I got confused there for a second, but I caught it.
It's an interesting aesthetic going.
Well, I've been seeing it popping up everywhere. It looks good.
Yeah.
Do we need to do anything with that?
That was my only question was just to clarify that, I guess because it doesn't state any opacity limit, it can be privacy, it can be chain link, it can be wrought iron, it can be whatever it wants to be.
Yes. Mr. Mercer.
I have a couple of questions, maybe some comments then. Explain to me where in the ordinance it says you can have a white picket fence? Where it
doesn't-
reads?
In the current version, right?
Yeah.
In the current version, it is within the, I wish I had that whole thing, the 35%, right? The requirement is for 35% opacity fence.
Yeah. No, not in the current, in the proposed new one.
You could have, well, without that restriction, right? Without saying it has to be a 35% opacity, choose your fence, right?
Okay.
So if you would like to have someone could say, I would like to have a 6-foot tall white picket fence. That would be acceptable by the ordinance, right? Because you could have in your rear yard, you could have a fence that is up to 6 feet in height at any opacity. So you could choose to have a solid fence. You could choose to maintain a 35% opacity. Maybe that's what you already have. That's just residents' choice, right? And as part of their discussion last week, in terms of color, right? That is specifically why they didn't actually reference color in the amendment. They don't want to prohibit a resident from installing a white picket fence if they so choose.
So white is considered a neutral earth tone color palette.
Yes.
Shades of brown, gray, beige.
Correct.
Really?
Yep.
I would not think neutral earth tone is white.
Well,
But you're interpreting it that way.
that is based on the conversations that have been had at planning.
Well,
Commission, yes.
I'm not suggesting based on the conversations that have been had by planning. I'm suggesting when you look at this 15, 20 years down the road and maybe none of us are here.
Yes, I
Okay.
would still say that white is a neutral color. In fact, I poked that bear
Not
before
neutral
this
color, it's neutral earth tone color. I'm
Yes.
just saying, that's the way, I'm just saying the way it reads, okay? I'm splitting hairs here, but
I've split this here too. I've purposely nudged
right.
them to say, well, I would say white is an earth tone.
Okay.
It is found, it's found in the natural environment. I would say white is a neutral earth tone. What say you, Planning Commission, right? And they're,
I mean, with all due respect, there's orange carp in Beverly Pond, so that's not natural. Orange isn't an earth tone. We agree with that, right? Right, orange?
orange can be found in butterfly weed, which is
But I don't think
right?
it
I mean,
classifies as an earth tone.
right? But I would say for this, yes, white would be a neutral.
Again, the understanding I had from what I knew about some of the planning conversation was that they were trying to avoid the starkness of white on a 6-foot privacy fence / it's a wall, right? And the white sticks out substantially more than a traditional earth tone color would.
I agree.
So then, in this version of this, you can have white then, correct? That's
That
kind
is
of been
correct.
cleaned up from what we saw last reading.
Yep, that is correct.
So you could have a white composite, as long as it's not PVC or vinyl.
Correct.
Mr. O'Gore.
This is a slight jest, but also to address Mr. Mercer's concern. If we want to add white, we can add white, I think, realistically, if that is concerned. But I did ask AI, because I figure in 20 years, everybody's just going to ask AI what the answer is. And it did say white is an earth tone natural color. So unless AI changes its mind in the last 20 years, I would expect anybody who's looking at this question might see that. But I have no objections to putting white in as an earth tone referenced color, if there's concern about that, based on the discussion that the planning committee had. I think all they're trying to limit is solid fences that are white, 4 feet to 6 feet. That's one kind of constraint they wanted to put in. And then the other constraint was the opacity. So if you are white and you're a short fence, it can't be solid. So it's basically no solid white fences, I think, was the big kind of overriding thing. And then PVC tall was not accepted.
With the CESA.
Right. Correct. They're not limiting that. It's going to be 6 feet white. If it's not vinyl or PVC. I just want to make sure it's clear out there. I'm not.
If there's opacity.
No?
Yeah.
There's no opacity in that.
I thought the solid white was.
They were fine with solid white, not solid white PVC.
Right.
They don't want the shiny.
They don't want, they don't want the shiny.
We might, I may have a slightly different recall from the conversation.
And it's the words.
It's the words in here.
No, I missed that when I read it, so I'm probably just read it in light of the conversation that was had and did my own interpretation, but I think we should double check that.
Or we can interpret it ourselves.
Or we can interpret, I'm fine interpreting it ourselves. I have no problem with that.
They've had their time.
I honestly was, when they were excluding 6-foot white PVC fences, I thought the goal was to exclude white fences because later it talked about the shades, the color palette of natural earth tones, while white might be a naturally occurring color. So is orange. I just went to pictured rocks, but I'm not a fan of either of those really is a fence color. So I'd be fine sticking to earth tones. I don't, I agree with whether you paint it, or it's PVC, the effect of a 6-foot white fence is the same to me. I'd prefer they'd be in a more less stark shade of earth tone.
Okay.
If we can make that happen, if people agree. Mr. Aboud.
Yep. It may be easier to say all fences, is what we're saying, shall have a neutral earth tone color palette, and then get rid of the parentheses, because the et cetera, you can make a conclusion, of white. Beige is close to white, right? Almond is close to white, but regardless, I think just get rid of the parentheses, so. And it's earth tone colors. And, depending on that amendment, I know there was an amendment, did that go through that to include it in this?
We didn't vote on
it,
them.
okay.
We did not vote on any amendments. We discussed, but didn't, I don't think have a formal resolution yet. Yes, Ms. Rajewska.
I think that we should definitely put the wording of white in if it's going to be allowed, and I think it should be allowed because I want to make sure that we don't have just one trier of fact and that people, you read it and got something different than somebody else, and that's what we've learned has causes problems. So we need to make sure that if we are going to limit colors of anything, then it needs to be clearly written and well understood, which I think that if we add, I think we should have examples, shades of brown, gray, beige, white. There's lots of shades of brown, gray, beige, and white. If we don't want orange, and then we just say shades of brown, gray, beige, white, and black. I feel like black makes a fence blend in almost completely. So if we put those in there, that's pretty much every earth tone you can think of and would probably leave orange out. But yeah, I think it needs to be clearly written so that, again, if somebody's picking out stain on a weekend, the permit is for the fence. It's not necessary, and the building, is it necessarily? Sometimes if it's treated wood, people aren't painting it for a year anyway, so the color is going to come later. So if we're going to now regulate allowable color, it needs to be clearly written. Unless we just say no white just no white vinyl. I mean, we don't regulate people's front doors colors, we don't regulate their house colors, so if somebody wants to paint their house orange right now, they 100% can. So it does seem strange to me that, I understand wanting to limit the vinyl, but it seems strange to me to limit colors of fences in any way if we don't do that with a house.
It doesn't seem strange to me because I'm trying to take a baby step here. So, I mean, I'm trying to get to something that doesn't seem like a massive departure, and neutral earth tones don't include stark white fences to me. And so I wouldn't be supportive of that. Bloomfield regulates all signs that have to be certain colors and certain heights. I get that we don't regulate house colors and that people can paint houses whatever color they want. This is a new use or a new permissible use, I guess, of a certain height of fence. And if people want that, I would assume they would probably be agreeable to the restrictions we put in place. So I'm not supportive of 6-foot white fences. I thought that was.
So then you want to do just, if it's a 4-foot fence, it can be white?
A white picket fence I'm fine with. For some reason, a 6-foot privacy fence in white, I'm not.
Okay.
So, yeah. Personally, that doesn't mean everyone has to be on board with that, but that's, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I'm aligned with that, and again, my interpretation may have been different. We didn't really talk after the planning meeting, but I thought there were two distinctions that they had to decide on. One was the color, and where that applied and didn't apply, and it was brought up that the concerns about picket fences and smaller fences with opacity should be allowed, so I thought it was a white solid fence is not something that would be permissible at kind of any height. And then the second one on opacity on PVC, was they also didn't want PVC for 4 to 6 foot tall fences because of the, the rocks and debris that could cause damage to those fences that makes them more difficult to repair. So that was kind of the thought process that I recall. So I think the white solid fences was kind of because they're a bit of a reflector too for sunlight and things like that in the right angle. I can attest that from my last house, we had to close the blinds in the back of the house from 5 to about 8 o'clock because the sun would just reflect off the fence. So those were the two recalls I had. So I think that first one kind of aligns with what you said, Mr. George.
Okay, so 6-foot solid, neutral tones, not white. Correct?
It was just no solid white fences.
Mr. George, can I offer an amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I take some advice? Mr. Ryan, would you like me to phrase this as a resolution?
Why don't you state the amendment first, and then.
All right.
Yeah.
Can
Okay.
you tell us
Your
what
proposed
section
language.
you're?
Okay, I would offer that we amend section 46-173, subparagraph 1, sub B, to read as follows. Materials. Fences, walls, and privacy screens shall be constructed of high-quality, durable materials, including brick, natural stone, treated wood, composite or metal, such as wrought iron or painted aluminum. Vinyl PVC may be only used for fences which are up to 4 feet in height and have an opacity of at least 35%. All fences shall have a neutral earth tone color palette, i.e. shades of black, brown, gray, or beige. Picket fences shorter than 4 feet
Opacity.
may be white.
Opacity versus picket.
Okay. All right, after the colors, here's the sentence. Fences less than 4 feet in height without an opacity of at least 35% may also be white. The rest of the,
One more time.
yes. I think.
You're doing a great job.
Fences less than 4 feet in height and of at least 35% opacity may be white. The rest of the existing paragraph stays.
Knowing that less than 4 feet is in the back or in the front.
It's 4 feet.
Well, it is limited,
Yeah,
front yard is
that's what-
limited further in to 3 feet
Yeah, yes.
and must be at least 35% opacity.
I will support that.
That's your language?
That is my language.
Anybody have any questions of that language?
Just repeat it one last time.
Ms. Steck, would you
All right.
like me to do that, or would you like to repeat what you've wrote?
Let me repeat it.
Okay.
You can tell me if I got it all. So I'm just going to pick up at the bold letters, right? Vinyl PVC may only be used for fences which are up to 4 feet in height and have an opacity of at least 35%. Fences that are less than 4 feet in height and with at least 35% opacity may be white.
Yes. But I also
All
added
fence-
black to the
all
list of
fences-
earth
yep,
tones.
All fences shall have a neutral earth tone color palette, i.e. shades of black, brown, gray, beige, period, close parentheses.
Yes.
Yes.
I like it.
Well done. Phew.
All right. Would you like me to offer a resolution to accept the ordinance as amended, or do we offer the amendment?
Amendment
and
first,
then-
please.
Okay. Mr. George, I would resolve that we amend Section 46-173, Sub 1B as read.
Support.
Support for Ms. Rajewsko.
Can I have clarification on that, then?
Yes.
There is nothing in there that talks about the picket fence at all, it's just,
Opacity.
Opacity, correct.
I'm presuming that the math works out on 35% allowing a traditional picket fence. Okay.
Yep.
I have not
Depending on
checked that
spacing of
math.
pickets. Yes. Support for Ms. Rajewsko. All those in favor of the amendment to the proposed resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
no?
Opposed? Opposed, you were a no. Okay. Did you get the count? Okay. So the amendment, the proposed amendment to the proposed resolution passes. So now we have an amended proposed resolution. Are there any other discussion, questions, proposed amendments, questions, clarifications needed?
On the ordinance,
Yes.
before we vote on it? Yes.
Yes.
Let me ask a couple questions. Explain to me how many people in the last 3 years have had an issue with a fence that they wanted to get installed that didn't apply to the current ordinance?
That was in our,
Like one, okay?
yeah. there was a
So
few.
that one person, and we don't know if they ever came back or whatever, but really, everybody that's requested one has gotten it, and it's allowed for review. So people that, this is a major change to the community, okay? I know people are going to argue that one way or the other, but it is. It's been this way for many years. I moved here because I like the openness of this community. That's going to change. Maybe it won't change overnight, but it's going to change. We're going to look like communities such as Birmingham, small lots that are up there. My area of the village are smaller lots. We're going to look like Berkeley, Royal Oak, Ferndale. I don't want to look like Berkeley, Royal Oak, or Ferndale. I moved here so I didn't look like that. That piece is not being protected. No protection at all. Whereas what we had actually did do that. If somebody had an issue with that, when they got noticed that somebody wants a fence like that, they could come, say something at the planning commission, or talk to their neighbor. Now they're going to have no idea until that fence goes up. I can have 5 different fences abutting my yard, none of them mine, that I can look at that'll all be different, potentially. Based on the reading of this, I could have some vertical fences, I could have some horizontal fences, I could have some that have some openness, I could have some that aren't, I could have some that are black, brown, beige, white. this is a fundamental change to the community that I came to live in. This is not anything that protects my right as a homeowner that way. I think this is absolutely wrong.
Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Oh, Mr. President, sorry. No, I agree with everything that Mr. Mercer just said. And while I agreed with the amendment that was proposed, I think that is more of what the intent of what was put before us was meant to be. So I thank Ms. Casmany for that improvement there to the amendment. But I think Mr. Mercer's spot on this. There's something that gives this community a certain feel and a certain touch, and it's hard to put your finger on it and put words to it. But the communities that have privacy fences don't have that same look and that same feel. The people aren't as friendly as they are here. And I think approving tonight's ordinance is a horrible mistake by everyone on this council. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Yes.
Sure. I'll just offer my thoughts on the fence issue. I appreciate Mr. Mercer and Mr. Drummond's point on the matter, and I've thought really hard about this, right, and what it would mean for the aesthetic of the neighborhood. And I've thought about it as I've walked around, and I've looked at everyone's fences and their gardens and everything. You know, as it stands now, I could have different materials, right? I could have a neighbor with a wrought iron fence and a neighbor with a chain link fence and a neighbor that has a 6-foot fence that has been approved in some way, right? And so we're always going to have that when we're living with other people, right? We're always going to have things in their yards that we may or may not like, right? I look at a shed from my deck that I don't really care for, and I've done my best to landscape that view into something that I prefer. One thing I notice as I look at this when I walk around the community, because of the age of our neighborhood, we have really well-established vegetation. And I think that putting in a privacy fence, as we'll call it, or a 6-foot fence, in a place that it isn't already there, is a big job. You know, either because of on a large lot that doesn't have the vegetation because the lot is large, or, you know, on lots like ours where there's chain link fence and trees and existing structure, it's a big job. And if somebody needs that in their yard for whatever their personal reasons are, I think that's being undertaken with great consideration for their own property needs. While I don't think a lot of people are turned away, I have heard of stories of folks that have come before Planning Commission. Somebody on a corner lot that's across from an apartment complex that gets a lot of foot traffic by their home, I believe was denied a fence variance. Somebody who bought a house with an existing fence was let's say discouraged from replacing that. And so I think the proliferation of these fences will be somewhat self-limiting given the character of our neighborhood. And if the folks enjoy that friendliness and they enjoy that company of their neighbors, then they won't put up a 6-foot fence. And if for some reason they don't enjoy that or that doesn't suit their needs, then they'll do what's appropriate for their property. I'm not concerned terribly about this changing the fundamental character of our community. When I think about the comparison to Birmingham, those folks do have small lots, right? But I also see them out in their front yards a lot, right? And they're walking around and there's a park across the street and they're still engaging with their neighbors just in a different way. But on a 25 or 40-foot lot, when half of your backyard is taken up with a detached garage and a driveway like in Ferndale and Berkeley and Royal Oak, you really do appreciate that fence. And for the residents that are in a situation like that, I think they deserve the right to do that on their property without having to come before the judgment of a non-elected body and what their preferred aesthetics are for the community. So I really do appreciate all the time that went into this, and with Planning Commission, when I know it was not their agenda item. And Ms. Steck, your time in getting us to this point, I think that we have something we can approve that will serve our residents well and protect overall the character of the community.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, suggestions? I will say for my part, this is, yes, I've thought a lot about it too. I have talked to people who have differing opinions on it. The fact of the matter is we do currently put it in a situation where you go before a group of 9 people who are not elected and 5 of them are deciding whether or not you get a fence. And it's not 100% accurate that only one person did not get a fence, but we did have somebody on the list who had to go 3 times. I don't know what the magic was on the 3rd time. I haven't read all 3 packets to see. I do, I do not desire a fence in my yard. I've spent a lot on privacy screening where it's appropriate, and I hope that wins the day. We made another vote earlier that was unanimous that changes the character of the community that we all joined, and that's to add sidewalks along main roads. We added a park where it was residential. We've done lots of things that change the character of the community. This is one where I'm trusting people to, I do believe, as Mrs. Cascametti does, that the fact that we do have decades of experience with mature property screens being built is going to benefit us. This isn't Plano where we're doing a new subdivision. We have a lot of that growing infrastructure in place. I don't agree with having planning decide whether someone's concern over their neighbor's dog is valid enough, or sitting there causing, and again, I know you hear the stories that don't turn out well. You don't hear the ones where people do get approved. But, I've sat there and watched the deliberation over whether something is adjacent or abutting and not giving someone a fence in their backyard that's exposed to the apartment building across the street because it's not abutting, it's adjacent. I think having something clearly written out, the 200-foot rule was a concern for proliferation. We never addressed the 200-plus non-permitted 6-foot fences that were found, or maybe it was 300, in our community from when the ordinance was reviewed and changed last time. So I think giving people a way to do it and having some constraints around it is good. If there is some concern over disparate materials and there's a desire to have something more cohesive, that's part of this conversation. So we shouldn't act like the ship has sailed on something we haven't voted on yet, but I'm in favor of it because I'm, again, I've said it before, there's a 7,000 square foot house going in around the corner from me where there used to be a 1,500 foot ranch. And it is full height with a full height attic, and that dramatically changes the character of the neighborhood. But we're not having that conversation, and there's no fence you can put in your yard if you're the ranch behind it that causes that to not be a dramatic change for you. So I get that things change. I am hoping that residents are making good decisions around this issue, but I am for not having quite as many hurdles in place and giving people the tools to have this available. Mr. Aboud.
Thank you, Mr. George. I would never want to do anything to compromise anybody's way of life to begin with. If you're good with your neighbor and you don't need a fence, I've been sitting here almost 12 years, and the fence started a long time ago. And then when the amendment was made with that 200-foot rule, with President George has described, it took maybe a handful of people when you're considering the 4,300, houses, let's say, right? And out of those 4,300 homes, maybe if whatever percentage you want to take, it's a very small percentage. I don't think if this is allowed where it can't go back and forth, and just to get it off our plate all these years, that everybody's going to go out and put a 6-foot fence in. If I'm on the west side of the village, or east, you know, if I have a small lot, I may want it, but they're already there. The people that want those 6-foot fences, I guarantee you, they're there legally or illegally. They're already up. And the people on the west side with the bigger, you know, lots, I don't think that fence, if you have a 4-foot chain link fence right now with just growth on them to provide you that privacy if you need it, I think if somebody's dog is next to me, and there's, I don't want to get into why I would put up a 6-foot fence, but I don't think it's going to dramatically change our way of life in the village of Beverly Hills. And I've been here since 1974.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Kessler.
I would just ask if we want to take public comment.
Yes. Anyone in chamber or online who would like to comment, please either step to the podium, identify yourself online, just need a name and a street.
Well, I wasn't asking you, I was asking.
All right. If no one in chamber or online.
Offered.
Yes. All right. Anything else? If not, I'd take a resolution. Do you have a rock?
Yep. Be it resolved, the Village Beverly Hills Council, Beverly Hills hereby adopts ordinance number 391 as amended in section 46-173 of the zoning ordinance.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Cascometti. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
No.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Mr. Jusko?
Yes.
Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
No.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mrs.
Ms.
Steck.
Steck.
A lot of work. I appreciate it.
Right back at you guys. Have a good rest of the meeting.
Right. Last on the business agenda, approved public comment policy, Mr. Rothy.
Yes, at the last council meeting, I introduced the proposed public comment policy. There was some discussion by the council. At the end of the discussion, Member O'Gorman made a motion which did several amendments, and it also it required that the policy be brought back to the council for your review at this meeting. I did speak with Mr. O'Gorman ahead of time. You may recall I had him reread his motion at the meeting. And after that, I made my changes in red, which you'll see. I sent it over to him. He thought I had captured what he had said in his motion appropriately. So if there's further revisions that we want, or if there was some points of maybe nobody realized what was going on with what Mr. O'Gorman and I were trying to capture by the motion, we can have that conversation now, but I'll at least implicate him in this work right now. And again, I'm happy to answer other questions you may have. I guess the very high level 4-minute limit per speaker, 2 public comment periods at the beginning of the meeting and then towards the end of the meeting, and then the availability for any one council member to determine that if an item warrants public comment, much like we just did with fences, that is still there. So members of the public would be able to speak at the beginning of the meeting, at the end of a meeting, and on any individual item that the council chooses to have public comment on. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Questions, comments? This is, for anyone following along at home or in chamber, this is not uncommon in other communities to have a policy. There is discretion to deviate from the policy, but at times when we have a full room, as Mrs. Cascometti, I think, to paraphrase you, it's a goal of trying to have the tools to make sure that everybody, when we have a full room, has the ability to be heard, so that we don't have 10 and 12-minute public comments that are causing us to get 30 minutes into a meeting at comment 2 or 3, so that we can keep discussion flowing. So still a public comment period at the beginning, still one at the end, still the ability for a council member to request that we take public comments on something when we have clearly an interested group, but the ability memorialized to control a meeting and keep it flowing if the need is there. Questions? Comments? Mr. Abud.
Just a comment. I know that this was brought up at last month's meeting, and I know that we had talked about it, and to be transparent, I was totally opposed to having any kind of changes the way public comments are being done currently, which I'm certain that this one is going to allow some people from the public to speak as well, I would hope. But, you know, as I said before, you know, really the difference is really the minutes. We're limiting basically 4 minutes. And the only other thing that is the concurrence of council. Does that mean there has to be a majority vote of council of 7 if the president chooses to, at their discretion? And with concurrence of council, does that mean we still have to vote to see how many council members want it? If the president wants it and then Mr. Mercer says, well, I don't want it, you know, I mean, how's that going to work? I just need a little explanation on that.
I'd say we kind of have to wade into it. I'd say the chair has the discretion. I don't know. I mean, I'd be shocked if there was anyone who, I mean.
Well, just as concurrence.
Yeah, no, we often do sense of council. We haven't had to try this yet. Mrs. Cascametti earlier suggested we take comments on fences, sidewalks. We did. You know, I don't think, like I said, I'm all for keeping the meeting flowing, giving people multiple opportunities to have input.
I get it.
don't know.
4 minutes just doesn't seem enough for me. When I talk, I like to listen to what I'm saying, think about what I said, say what I said, and say it again so my audience can captivate and capture what I just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to just limit it to 4 minutes is almost like saying, you know, well, I care about what you're saying, but I'm going to limit you to 4 minutes. Just seems a little harsh for me. That's my opinion, that's all.
Okay. Mr. Mercer was next, right? Did you have a hand up?
Sure.
Okay.
I guess I'd ask Mr. O'Gorman, I don't remember that the way this is stated is how you captured it, or how it was captured. It was at the discretion of any council member that requested it. There could be public comment, kind of like what happened tonight when Mrs. Cascametti requested it. That's what happened. We didn't take a vote or anything. It was just, that's the way I remember it. And as a matter of fact, when I saw this today, I actually dialed back up the meeting, and that's how I think it's stated. So I guess I'm confused at why it's stated this way now. Number 3. I mean, is this how you remember it, Ryan? Is how it was? This says that there's going to be some discretion and concurrence of council, even if any council member determines there's good reason to do so.
Yeah, I think the latter part of the sentence is what I intended to amend, but I understand that the first section with the concurrence of council would be theoretically kind of in conflict to that. So if we want to just strike that portion, I don't see any issue with that. I don't know if anybody else has any objections to that.
So could I ask Mr. O'Gorman, would it read, the council may, at their discretion, allow additional public comment on a specific agenda item if any council member determines there's good reason to do so?
I don't have any problem with that, no. Hopefully somebody.
I think what they were talking about with the council president and using their discretion was on time, right? We were saying 4 minutes is the guideline, but if there's 3 people here and someone talks for 6, then.
That's in one.
Right.
Yeah.
That's in one.
That's what I think,
So-
yeah. So.
I mean, 3, I don't care how you want to word it, but the reason someone's got to have the gavel to keep control of the meeting.
Well, yeah,
So when you're
of course.
saying that anybody can call for whatever, that seems
And you
like,
always do that. If somebody, I've seen
that's
it done
telling me
here.
I'm not, you know?
Well, if we were to just remove the portion that says, and with the concurrence of the council, I think that would meet that control of the meeting still.
And president.
Well, the council
Council
president
may.
may, at their discretion,
Council president may. have
allow
discretion.
additional comment. Yeah. Council president, at their discretion.
Council president. Just the council president would be struck from that.
I think
the
we're saying
council.
we would like any of us to be able to, at our discretion, call for that
Yeah,
public comment.
I think at their discretion may allow additional public comment on specific agenda items at the time if it is considered, if any council member determines it to be so. So basically, a council member would say, hey, I'd like to have comment, and then the president would agree. The
Right, but
president
it
would have
says
that
at
discretion.
their discretion, so I could call for public comment, Mr. George could say, not tonight.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But I think it just simplifies
that's
it.
generally how
Right.
we construct the council, though, is the president's kind of in charge of some actions.
And what
I don't
this
have any
is
issue with
saying
that.
is, if we have public comment, we've outlined what we want. If one of us would like more comment, which is what we discussed last time,
Right.
we could request that. That would be it. We could have public comment, much like happened tonight. I can
But
absolutely see point.
it still went through the chair.
It's going to go through the chair anyway to say, okay, but you're not saying, it's not at your discretion. You didn't have.
It is.
If people
No,
know
you
the
don't
rules,
have.
they should-
So you're.
should know the rules and rescind
You
them.
should not, we should be allowed as a council to allow discussion on a business item.
And I don't think you have evidence to point to me not allowing it, but I think the chair has to have the discretion to keep the meeting in order. I don't think that's.
How would that change the order of the meeting if I
don't-
allow public comment?
I haven't been to that meeting yet,
Right,
but I'd
and
like
I've
the
been to
tools to
one
deal
where
with
we
it.
haven't been able to have public comment too, or I've seen that happen. And I'm not saying it's happened under your, I'm just saying that's not what we discussed on putting this back out.
I'll take any amendments as people see fit, and we will reserve the right to see how it goes and modify as necessary, much like anything. I mean, I'm fine trying whatever you think works. I'm trying to put tools in place to make sure that we can keep the trains moving, is really what it is.
You can, excuse me, if I may, you can say the council president is, if you look at what the objective or what the council president does, you run the meeting, right? And as far as governing, we're all ranked equally here. But you happen to be the president that we voted in to be able to keep that order, to keep the civility, to keep the meeting moving forward. Right? So it's at the discretion. Public comments should not be at discretion of the president. They should be public comments of the public. That's all. Maybe we can hear the public after we deliberate a little bit more up here.
Mr. George, I would offer 2 amendments for consideration, and under Mr. Ryan's guidance, I will I will offer them. We can discuss. Okay. To number 1, I would offer that we change the last sentence to read, additional time may be granted at the discretion of the chair.
Okay.
Number 3, I would offer striking the third word, president, through, so that it reads, the council.
May allow additional public comment.
The council, strike the word president, the council may, at their discretion, allow additional public comment on specific agenda item at the time it is considered, if any council member determines there's good reason to do so. So strike the word president and strike and with the concurrence of the council. That is my offered amendment.
Is that your motion, your amendment?
I would move to amend the public comment policy as previously described.
I will support that.
Mrs. Rajewsko supports the amendment to the proposed policy. Any questions? If not, all those in favor of the amendments?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we have an amended policy. Any other questions, comments?
I would just offer one comment,
Yes.
Mr. George. I think since we've been operating without a policy, I think what some people may, I'm interpreting, what some folks might be reacting to is the idea that we even need one. Like, well, we're such a civil, understanding and flexible body that who would need such a policy, right? I think of this as good guidance for our next village manager and our next council president 3 times from now, right? So that when question comes up of how do we run this machine here, there's a little bit of a guidebook on how we run this machine. Maybe, maybe in the future, there's a transition that isn't as amicable, or maybe there is an issue before the council that gets even hotter than chickens and fences. I don't know. I would like to believe we will all operate in the good graces of, the people that put us here, right? And we will operate in good faith. But I just see this as a guide for future. I don't think this terribly changes anything in the way we're doing business, but I do like the idea that there is an established understanding that it is not unreasonable to limit the time of public comment if we need to do so that we can effectively hear from everyone.
Yes, sir.
If I could ask Mr. Ryan a question, policies like this can be changed at the council's discretion. There's no public hearings or anything, so if we do this for one meeting, we find it challenging for residents or anything, we can modify and amend at any time. So I don't think we're setting a stage where we're creating blockers for the future. So we were just putting something in place that did not exist, and I think it's appropriate. Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
As I've said before, this is hopefully one sliver of a larger council manual that I would, that's somehow lower on my list than I would like it to be. But I've often joked that if anything happened to us while we were on the retreat, we don't really go on. And there was no one here to run council. There is no manual for anyone who steps in and takes it over. It's largely folklore, campfire tales. And the way we've done it that carries us forward in documenting it, so that I would love to be able to leave a binder for whoever comes next so that they have some, rules of the road as far as, hey, this is when a meeting's coming and you need to be aware of this, and here's when you prepare that, and here's how public comments go, and here's council code of conduct, and. There's plenty of things to go in there. I think ours currently includes a smoking policy and a dress code. So it's got some updating. So that's it. It's a tool we can modify as needed.
I can offer a resolution, Mr. George.
Mr. George, before we do that,
Yes.
could I ask for public comment on the public comment policy?
Well, yes. Anyone in chamber or online who would like to comment on the comment policy?
Got a hand raised?
Yes, Mr. Matchie. Please give us your name and your street.
Matt Goodrich, Hillcrest. I know this isn't the Q&A session. Does any adopted policy that may or may not have tonight also apply to other boards and commissions?
I don't believe it would apply.
Right?
But they could adopt a similar,
Yes.
they could adopt the same
Yeah.
policy.
Yes, but I would say that now that this will be in writing in a revised fashion, hopefully soon it would be available for our boards and commissions and committees to adopt as they saw fit, modify for their own needs. Good question. Any other questions? Comments?
Offer a resolution?
Not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Jennings, Orchard Way. Why can't we just do it like planning and zoning? You get a chance after every item to talk. Certainly when there's big, huge crowds, I would suggest that you can. If there's 50 people in the room, that you can offer some sorts of limit. But when it affects you and you can't talk till the end and you guys have already done something, I don't think that's fair. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments?
David Bob in Orchard Way Court. Mr. George, I think, back to my earlier comments, back on May 18 of 2021, you had it right when you said other issues council should be focusing on, such as sewers and sidewalks. And I think if you look at tonight, we spent not quite $600,000 for engineering fees for sidewalks without virtually any discussion at all. And we spent, by my rough clockwork, half an hour, 40 minutes talking about something that doesn't really have any huge impact, or could have some huge impact in fences. And I think that, should we be concerned about giant houses that are going up that are going to alter probably irrevocably the character of this village, and will that have an impact down the road on, who wants to live here? Will they have the same values that existing residents, longtime residents have had or not? So I think it's a matter of priorities. I don't have any problem with the way it stands, but I think that we should spend our time on important things. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else online? Going twice. All right. Mr. O'Gorman.
Be it resolved, the Village Council of Beverly Hills hereby adopts the amended public comment policy as presented.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Cascometti. Ms. Brown.
As amended.
Yes,
Not
he
as
said
presented.
it. Oh, you
I'm
said
sorry, I misheard.
I threw it in at the before public comment, amended public comment. Sorry.
Thank you.
We're getting the hang of this, guys. We can
Ms.
do
Brown, would you please
parliamentary
call the roll?
procedure.
Mr. Booth?
If I have to, yes.
Mr.
You don't
Drummond?
have to, right?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
No.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. All right, that's the close of the business agenda, so we will take public comments now, which is now H rather than I, so that when we move into closed session, people don't have to hang out in the lobby. So if anyone online or in chamber has a public comment, now is your chance. Going once, going twice, closing the public comments, so thank you. We will reconvene this evening as soon as we're done with, yes, we do. We will take a resolution for Mr. Mercer to go into closed session, but as soon as we go into closed session, feed goes dead, we have some business to conduct. We will come back to open session for the manager's report, council comments, and adjournment. You're welcome to stay with or catch up live via recording later.
Before, Mr. President, can we take a 10-minute break?
Can we do it as we go into closed session, and that way
Yeah.
we'll go into closed session, and then we can take a
Fine.
break? Mr. Mercer?
Whereas at a regular Village Council meeting held on September 2nd, 2025, that's today, Village Council desires to go into closed session to conduct with the village attorney regarding attorney-client privilege memorandum dated August 27th, 2025 regarding public works service contract, Como Equipment Company per MCL 15.268H. Therefore, be it resolved, the Village of Beverly Hills Council will meet in closed session as permitted by the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.268H. The purpose of the closed session is to discuss written attorney-client privilege memorandum dated August 27th, 2025 with village attorney regarding public works service contract, Como Equipment Company.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Cascometti. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, let's take 7 minutes, reconvene at 9.
Two.
I'm waiting until the TV comes back online. Do we need that? We're live. We're back. Thank you, everybody who hung with us during our closed session. We have returned from closed session. Do we have any business we need to take care of to memorialize the work we did in closed session? Anyone have a resolution?
Mr. President, I can make
Yes.
a resolution.
Thank you.
Be it resolved that the Beverly Hills Village Council approves the village staff to proceed as directed in closed session.
Support.
Lots of support. I'll let you decide who from. Ms. Brown, and would you please call the roll?
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. All right, on to public comments. We have no public. Oh, we did. Sorry, that one's gone. We're done with that. On to managers' reports, if you would, sir.
Yes, a few items to highlight. I know
Neil.
we all know this, but for the public, we did have a meeting on Monday, August 25th, special meeting for the purpose of having a closed session to discuss union negotiations with our Police Officers Association of Michigan, which represents our public safety patrol officers. After leaving closed session, the Village Council did take action to approve a 5-year collective bargaining agreement that replaced the one that expired back in June 30th. The agreement is for 5 years, and it will expire June 30th, 2030. Thank you for everybody's work on that. At the next council meeting, the animal ordinance, based on the comments we received at the last council meeting, will be presented to the council. We will need to conduct a first reading of the ordinance in order to have our second reading of the ordinance before the moratorium expires. That second reading would occur at the first council meeting in October. Planning Commission, also likely at the next council meeting, the Village Council will be considering 2 special land use requests, one for Beverly Hills Academy and one for Northbrook Presbyterian Church. We also are working with Eagle on completing the paperwork for the Arity Dam feasibility study grant. This was a $180,000 grant. I know Eagle needs this wrapped up before the end of their fiscal year, which is September 30th, so I'm expecting that we'll have a grant agreement to approve at the next council meeting as well for this. Last but not least, we are working, I don't know if you've noticed, but Southfield Township went to a .gov. I thought that was a good idea. I want to go to a .gov domain, so I'm working with our IT provider to change us from a .com to an official registered and recognized .gov. There's no cost for switching the domain. It's just a matter of filling out the right paperwork and having them approve the transaction. That's all I have at the moment. Happy to answer additional questions.
Questions on the manager's reports?
If I may, sir?
Yes.
When you change to .gov, are you going to have to change, like, and I know you were not changing identity, just the ending, like, as far as, like, cards and letterheads and things in that nature, will all those, as soon as they run out, then you're just going to replace them with the .gov? Is that the idea behind this?
Yes.
Because there's going to be a lot of stuff that's just going to pop up, oh, .gov versus .com.
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
I don't think our letterhead has our website address at the bottom of it, so.
Well, signatures, people.
Yeah, signatures and stuff, yeah. But I think it'll be minimal.
Okay.
Can I make one additional comment on that? I don't know anything about how websites operate, but the public safety website has always felt like a very separate from the village website entity, and maybe that's just an aesthetics and whatnot, but it's beverlyhillspolice.com, which like seems like if you were doing like a phishing scam training, you would say, oh, that's not legit. Is there, in this effort, can we bring these things together?
We're actively looking into that. Fun fact that I think the other Beverly Hills in California, so I've been told, very much would like beverlyhillspolice.com as a website. So we may have something of value here.
Can we get that?
I don't know.
And what's the market valuation on that?
Yeah.
Right, $1.2 million valuation.
Otherwise, I appreciate, yes, we want to make, if one is on a .gov, the other one should be as well, but that's a little bit more complicated because of what I just mentioned.
Figure out what kind of cross-country partnership we can come up with on that.
Right.
That's exciting.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, agreed, and it also has, there's opportunities there.
There's opportunities.
Yes. Other questions on the manager's report? Yes, sir.
A couple of other items on that. We will retain Beverly Hills, villagebeverlyhills.com to redirect to .gov for some time?
I believe that's how we can have it work.
Okay. So that with the police might be an issue for redirecting. There are ways around that. We can discuss that outside of this meeting if you're need some direction.
I kind of got excited and just want to put in my report. That's okay. There's a lot of things to work out still.
It leaves a big trail.
I'm going to follow up with you on a question I had last meeting about Wentworth and the permitting there on a structure that's being built. So I'll follow up with that, but also not to get into something that might not be as positive, but is there any information at all about the playground equipment?
So the DNR has originally said right, DNR? We only had one bid, so they were concerned, and they did not want to grant us approval. However, the grant rules specifically allow for an exception to that requirement to be made. I made that requirement several weeks ago. The DNR continues to ask for supporting documentation. I know they're contacting some of the just some of the other vendors who did not submit a bid. They were giving us correspondence as early as this morning. I'm still asking for things, so their review of my appeal is still ongoing. I do not know if they're going to say yes. I do not know if they're going to say no, but that's where we are right now. I'm hopeful that it will be a yes, given the several weeks of due diligence that they've been doing, but that's the update I have on that right now.
Do we need to appeal to elected officials to advocate on our behalf for the legitimacy of our appeal?
I think that would be a good thing.
Okay. All right.
Talk to Mr. Duggan.
Thank you. That structure was permitted, the construction site you mentioned on the street.
Oh, I know, it's not the permitting, it's the, how, do we have any regulations on how long something can stay open between, I mean, I know that I've had some permitting at my residence, and after a year, the clerk at the time was usually following up with me quite diligently to close that permit, right, Mrs. Brown? Ms. Brown?
So permits are valid for 180 days or 6 months. They can be extended by the building official. What I'll suggest is I'll put the building official in touch with you. We can have a three-way call tomorrow, and he'll be able to explain the process much more. But I did look into it for you.
Thank you. I'm happy to talk with Jake. That's great. No problem. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to council comments. Mr. Mercer.
No comments tonight.
Ms. Cascometti.
Nothing else tonight. Thank you, Mr. George.
Mr. Gorman.
No comments.
Ooh, Mrs. Rajewsko, got to you quick. Lightning round.
So I do have one thing. I know how much we all love spending our Tuesdays together. Next Tuesday, September 9th, is the Parks is hosting the Beverly Hills Slow Roll Stroll, which will be taking a tour of all of our existing and new sculptures in the park, but also the DIA Inside Out exhibits that are at our different parks. So there's more information about that online, but I believe we're meeting at Beverly Park at 7, is it 7? 6:30? It's 6:30 PM.
And that's Tuesday the 9th?
That's Tuesday the 9th. And then, I know it's late and past time, but Mr. Tababin tonight was asking about the benefit of adding chickens, and we had a lot of conversation about fences and why we would allow something that hasn't historically been here. And I would ask in any subject in the village, whether it's a hot button topic like sidewalks or fences or chickens or anything else, to remember that, at least my view is, any opportunity we have to encourage diversity in how people live their lives, diversity in thought, diversity in hobbies and practices. Everyone that lives here is not the same. Everybody that lives here doesn't have to be the same. They don't have to want the same things. And when we encourage diversity in our community, we open it up for more different versions of thought and practice and a more colorful place to be. I don't want a fence, a 6-foot fence personally, but I also don't believe that somebody should be told they're not allowed to have it because we've never had it before. None of my neighbors want to keep chickens, right? But they don't believe that they need to tell me that if I can live that way on my property, I shouldn't be allowed to do that. You know, I found it interesting tonight when we were talking about fences. You know, it used to be when I first started here behind this table, they were like, you can't talk about fences, it's too much of a hot button button topic. It's too, we filled the room with people against it. And now here we are, we've had fences in one aspect for a couple of years, 8 years? And we approved allowing them village-wide with almost no comment, very little comment. And so I think that we all need to remember that sometimes trying something new sounds scary, but down the line, when you have time to step outside of your fears and look at different ways of doing things, it turns out that it's really not that big of a deal. And so I think that any opportunity we have to bring more diversity into our community is one that we should consider and champion. That's all I have for tonight.
All right, thank you. Mr. Aboud.
No comments except for the silent auction is happening now as we speak. It's online. That's September 12th. I still need a hole sponsor and a golf cart sponsor if anybody here wants to take a step back if you don't want to vote. All right. And then also I will miss the next meeting. I'll be in Grand Rapids for the Michigan Municipal League, so hopefully that's an excused absence. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Drummond.
No comment.
All right. I'll be quick. Hey, went to the Groves football game the other night, first home game prior to school starting. They looked great. Good evening to be out. As I shared online, I don't know of a lot of stadiums that organize so the home fans are staring into the sunset, but it makes for dramatic backdrops once the sun finally gets down by those trees. So great evening. They did great. Lots of fun. Come out and support them. Fewer home games this year than last year. Congratulations to this council. Big thanks to the Whites, Mrs. Nawara, everybody who helped push the vision forward. You all created a park. It's a big thing. I feel good about the fact that we have stretched the parks from mostly kind of centered around Evergreen all the way out to the east side of the village and as far west as we've been able to make it happen. And that's a significant addition and a beautiful piece of land, so I'm excited for what that can be for the community long after I'm gone. And the last thing, when we talk about what we spend our time on, I know we as a group spend probably more time together than we'd like behind this desk, but we get a lot of good things done, and so I would like to remind people that with the excellent guidance and restraint sometimes necessary of administration. We get a lot done here. We can walk and chew gum. We do have time to spend time talking about things we'd probably prefer to talk less about, but we get through them, and all the while we're putting in sidewalks. We're building the water and sewer fund. We're doing new water infrastructure for the first time in a long time. We're paying more attention to the sewers. We're doing road repairs. We're doing a lot of good things. We're working to improve the level of service to the community and the actions we took tonight, and I feel really good about that. So I would like people to focus not on the time that Andy doesn't get to sleep, but on what we're getting done, and we're getting a lot done. So I appreciate all the hard work by administration and council, and with that, I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Support. All those in favor? Opposed? Good night.